So I am going to go back to the very beginning to show you another method of making these clay tiles successful. I'm going to use that same idea of a giant daisy, and I'm just going to draw it right onto this tile. One thing I want you to notice is right now I'm drawing into the clay, and there is a really big difference between drawing into the clay and forming the clay into 3 dimensions. So I'm going to finish this up, drawing into the clay, because that's how I plan it. But when we work in clay, the whole beauty of it is that we can make it 3-dimensional. So now I'm going to think about, it's going to be my low, this is going to be high, this is going to be 1 level down, and I'm going to then add pieces to it. My first example, I did not do any additive, but I want to show you that that is a possibility for this project. So I'm going to use subtractive method to make the background the lowest. Nice sticky pliable clay I have here. I'm going to turn it because I'm right-handed. Then I can drag this way. Whoops, did I make a hole? Might have made a hole. I want to make sure that level is low, but not too low that it doesn't go through the bottom. We're good. And it's an even level. It's an even background. I'm going to show you some interesting things we can do with the backgrounds. Right now, you might be looking away because you might be thinking she's not getting anything good. But actually, why I haven't stopped the recording is I just want you to see how I turn and use the different sides of the tools, how I turn the block, depending on what I'm trying to carve away here. So there would be a petal there that probably would stop here. There'd be one there and there. So I think that's decent. Now I'm going to switch to this little smaller tool just to neaten up these edges, making sure I don't go too low. Get into these smaller areas. And I'm going to get this background fairly low. But we don't want it to be so low that it's weak. And then I'm going to really rough up the surface a lot for the background because I'm going to make a pebble background. Why this clay is nice and soft. I'm going to go ahead and add those little pebbles in there. And then I can work on the flower later. So I'm going to get this all, it's about halfway down in terms of the thickness. I'm going to rough it up because this is going to be like a scoring process. Got to make sure with this super sharp tool I don't go through the bottom. This is kind of a fun texture. I could see some people wanting to just leave this texture, but I'm going to do a pebble background. since this project's going to be more raised. And it's really great when you use the same clay that you just removed from the project to adhere it for the additive section that I'm going to be doing in a moment. Because when clay is the same consistency, it will adhere more easily. Okay, so I have this great textured background. I'm going to make a whole bunch of little spheres. As I make the spheres, I need to just add slip. Because when we attach anything, I have my little bucket of water. I'm just gonna, we have to score and slip it on there or it won't stay. I'm just gonna rough up each little sphere. Press it in there. And you should try to get this part done within a class period. You should try to. Just really don't talk to anyone. Work really, really hard on it. And the spheres can be all different sizes. You can make them all the same size. We're just going to press them in there. If any of them come loose later, we can just score and slip it back on. Let's see how long this takes me. Going to keep scoring and slipping. I'm going to stop the tape so you're not bored out of your mind watching this. So now I am finishing up the texture, which is an additive process to the back of my flower. My flower is flat right now. I'm going to make it look all 3D and sculptural. I think to create some contrast in the work of art here, I will smooth it just using my finger along the sides. That creates a nice contrast between the little pebbles for the background and the frame. So that can start to settle and dry. Now I'm going to use this little wooden tool. This one's a little rough. Let's see how that works. I'm going to go to the petals that are behind. I'm just going to create like a little, how should I say, like vein area. So it looks like they are recessed in space. Give them a little bit of shape so they look like they're a little further down than the other petals. Smooth that. It's really tricky to smooth right where I put the little petals in there. Be careful. I kind of put that metal tool right underneath the edge of that leaf to raise it up and create a shadow. I'm going to go over here and kind of use that same method. I like to kind of do all the same thing at once, so my mark making is similar. So down in this section, I need to carve away a little bit so that it does look like it is protruding from the back or below of the flower. And I angle it so it goes under the petal in front, and then it looks more realistic. I have to very carefully hold that down with the other hand and kind of make it feel like the tip of this petal is formed and above the little stones. It almost looks like this little petal could just be washing down a stream or something. I want to really smooth these. Smooth this one. Okay, my time is almost up for this class period, but I'm going to pause the video and finish it in a little bit.